Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Elite Heat. This week, we've got a really interesting discussion, I feel like, and one that's going to generate some. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's the truth about Roman Reigns' WrestleMania legacy. Now, we've been planning this for months. So we're going to make this regardless of what happened in that main event match against Cody Rhodes this year. Because, Kevin, the fact of the matter is, Roman Reigns has main evented now 7 WrestleManias. He's ended, I believe, and you can fact check this if I'm wrong, 5 of them standing tall, and 4 of them holding a championship, and 2 of them holding 2 championships. So that's like all-time Mount Rushmore stuff. We'll get to that later, but Kevin, for now, how you doing, pal?
I'm good. How are you, pal? I can't wait to
Pal,
discuss Roman Reigns.
pal, I'm great. Roman's always my favorite topic. There's always something to say, and as we've seen lately from the last few episodes, we've had some differing opinions with one Joe analyse, so should be good, pal.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. But first, before we talk about one Roman Reigns, a couple of things happened since we last recorded in the week of wrestling. I think the most notable is the announcement of the WWE Draft, which we saw on SmackDown. Good old Papa H, Triple H came out and announced that the WWE Draft will be returning. What is it gonna be? Like late April, early May? I don't remember what he said.
He didn't give a
He
date
didn't,
from
right?
memory, but
Yeah,
it's in a few weeks. I think it's like beginning of May, and he said it'll be game changing.
game
So,
changing.
so maybe they're gonna bring Soraya in. You never know.
Yeah, maybe they'll bring Keith Lee
Um,
back. Hmm.
yeah, the Bearcat pal, the wizard. But yeah, no, it should be good.
Oh yeah, he,
There's
he
gonna
just
be a
said the
lot of
draft is coming. Just so we can fact check. The draft is coming like Vahir. Is
yeah.
that how you say his name? Vahir?
Who?
The guy that they're like this guy. Remember that guy on Raw, like the
Oh,
Indian guy?
Veer Mahan.
Veer
Yeah.
Mahan, yeah. They're like, oh, Veer Mahan is coming, pal. The draft is coming. We don't know when though. Continue.
Yep. And pal, I mean, we'll discuss this in coming weeks, or like we'll do like not a full review. But we'll discuss this more on the show when it actually happens. But initial reactions to the draft. What are they going to do with Roman Reigns? Because I know he's the topic of this video, but he's got both titles. So is he just the number one pick by default? But to which show? Because he's both belts, or is he just on both? Like
Hmm.
what?
I don't know. I think. Well, he's still like a SmackDown guy technically. It's like a
Yeah.
special appearance. It's like a cross promotional thing when he appears on Raw, pal.
Kevin, this is just real quick on this.
Mhm.
People have been talking about this for years with these drafts. I don't look at Cody and think he bleeds red. He's a Monday Night Raw superstar. He's just Cody. He shows up on SmackDown every other week now. Same with a bunch of these guys. I feel like WWE gets bored or they want to just book a SmackDown guy on Raw. They just do it anyway, and there's
Yeah,
no explanation. So
exactly.
like, does it really matter? I mean, the only thing that this is going to do, it's going to, I guess, officially move the Judgment Day from Raw to SmackDown because Rhea is now Women's Champion on SmackDown, I guess. But like elsewhere, Kevin, oh my god, this mid Carter Santos Escobar could be moved from SmackDown to Raw. Like, okay, cool, great. And
Yeah,
then Vince
I don't.
McMahon picks up the pen and goes, "I want Santos Escobar on SmackDown." Pal. He's just gonna book him on SmackDown anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Like,
Yeah, I don't even really know like what wrestlers are technically associated with Raw and SmackDown. Like I know Drew McIntyre is like a SmackDown guy. Gunther, the IC Championship is on SmackDown.
hmm,
Theory is on Raw. But I only my point being is like I really only know the champions, what show they're dedicated to, and I don't really think like okay we're gonna get Drew McIntyre on Raw. Like is that gonna change the game as Triple H says? Like how does that change the way I feel about the show? I don't know if we really need like exclusive superstars like on both brands or on
yeah,
like one brand. I don't know if we really need that, but I guess it's more of a network thing. You know, NBC wants their people and Fox wants certain stars, and we saw like when SmackDown first moved to Fox, it was like, all right, we're gonna have Edge on Fox, we're gonna have Brock on Fox, like everybody was on Fox. You know, and now it's kind of balanced out a little bit after NBC has been such a loyal partner, I presume. But
yeah.
I'm not too sure what I really make of a draft. Like it doesn't do a lot for me personally. It never really has. Like I don't remember being a kid like being like so hooked on the draft. Like when Triple H got drafted to SmackDown in like 2009, I was like, oh wow, gotta watch SmackDown now. Yeah, I got to. I can't miss SmackDown. The game is on there. And then even
Yeah.
further back than that, like I don't really remember like in '05 when Cena got drafted to from SmackDown to Raw and Batista went to SmackDown. Like I guess it affected the way my viewership because I watched primarily SmackDown at that time, but I wasn't really cognizant of it. If that makes sense. So I don't know. I guess it's fun for like the brand supremacy stuff, the Survivor Series stuff, but I, it's not really. It's just
Yeah.
like it's just like WWE's so bored they're gonna compete with themselves. That's really what it comes down to.
Like it's 2023. We don't need to see Raw take it to SmackDown or SmackDown stand up to Raw anymore. Like that's been grossly overplayed. And I just hope all I'll say, we can move on to another topic now. All I want to say, keep all the good wrestlers, i.e. Gunther, Roman Reigns, I don't know about Cody. You can keep Cody on Raw just because Raw needs someone, but like keep the main ones where they are. I don't want them to be moving like making Reigns a consistent Raw guy or Gunther a consistent. Well, Reigns doesn't show up anyway, but Gunther a Raw guy like these McIntyre a Raw guy. I don't want to have to watch Raw. I just don't. So keep the interesting wrestlers on SmackDown. Move the Judgment Day to SmackDown. Raw can have Austin Theory and whoever else. Like,
I
yeah.
have a feeling Austin Theory is going to SmackDown. I have a
Oh
feeling
no.
Theory going to SmackDown and Gunther going to Raw is going to be like the big switch. Aside from maybe like Brock Lesnar, they're gonna just force. They're gonna put Brock Lesnar in a suit, force him to come out and shake Adam Pearce's hand as he accepts his new role on SmackDown.
That's the worst part of these drives. That's like Adam Pearce, as though he's like Eric Bischoff in 2002. He's like looking all serious. He's got his suit. He's like, with the next pick, Monday Night Raw selects. And it's like, bro, this doesn't mean anything. The show is just gonna suck anyway. Like on Raw, it doesn't matter. Like,
uh, well,
anyway, that said, Kevin, let's move on to
yeah.
something else.
Speaking of superstars that were on both shows, or a superstar that was on both shows, Matt Riddle or Riddle. Is he Riddle or is he Matt Riddle now? Is he Matt Riddle again?
Is he? I think
I think he
I
is Matt
don't.
Riddle.
He's
I'm looking at
objectively
the
Riddle,
YouTube.
but
Yeah, I'm looking at the YouTube title. So the Raw clip on YouTube says Matt Riddle makes a surprise return to bro away the Miz, but then the SmackDown one says Riddle returns and defends Sami Zayn from Solo Sikoa. So I don't know. Is he Riddle? Is he Matt Riddle? The world may never know. These are big questions, Jimmy. These are big questions. We need answers. WWE, we need answers.
we need consistency, continuity, show to show. Within 4 days, his name's different. How
Yeah,
are we supposed to keep up as viewers? Anyway, carry on.
ridiculous. So what's your most brutally ruthless, savage, absolute, just dishearteningly honest thoughts on Matt Riddle making his return from his cocaine suspension? Or I mean, I'm sorry. After being spiked by Solo Sikoa, after being hit with a Samoan spike.
That was probably your best worded question in the history of our show. No, look, I think when he came out on Raw, it was like he was the one surprise on the Raw after Mania. People were expecting Randy Orton. People were expecting Braun Breaker. People were expecting someone
Goldberg.
big time. Yeah, I don't know, a Goldberg or whoever. And then Riddle or Matt Riddle, whatever his name is, comes out and it's like, oh, he's back. Cool.
Yeah.
Like maybe some people were like, yeah, Riddle, but for the most part, people weren't, throwing confetti up in the air, popcorn, getting the chips and the dip out for Riddle. I don't know. But he came out in SmackDown, Kevin, to save Sami Zayn. And I'm watching the main event of SmackDown, which basically, if you haven't seen the main event of SmackDown or SmackDown generally, same thing as every other week for the last couple of months. Sami Zayn's in a match. He's facing what was it, Uso? I think it was Jey Uso,
I think
wasn't
it
it?
was Jay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Jay. He's having this match. It's a good match. Nothing wrong with it. Bloodline cheating gets involved. There's like a stare down of Jay and Sakot. Are they on the same page? Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. Oh, look, DQ. Oh, look, interference. And then Riddle runs out. And it's like, oh, why is this guy here? Well, Kevin, long-term storytelling pal, 9 months ago, Riddle was put on the shelf for obvious reasons. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. For a lovely drug. I mean, after being spiked by Solo Sikoa. Yes.
Exactly, a Samoan spike. So, yeah, there we go. But,
Had nothing to
yeah,
do with
Riddle's
drugs.
back. Riddle's back. There you
Absolutely
go.
nothing to do with drugs. Regarding Riddle's disappearance. So yeah, so
Yeah.
Riddle is going to be the inserted in the Cody Rhodes spot now, right? Riddle's going to be carrying the Bloodline storyline.
The only way they can go with this is if they have, like, the WWE's Avengers of War team up against the Bloodline. Like, if you've literally got Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Riddle, Cody, and you get, like, a couple of other guys, like this big squad to just beat up the bot. That's the only way they can really go with this because we don't need Riddle coming out, cutting promos, getting mad at Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns crying in the middle of May. We don't need to see that. Like,
Oh
uh,
God, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I do think it's like it's cool to see Riddle. I do like Riddle. He is a unique guy. Um, I mean, he's it's like I'd rather watch him versus like Austin Theory. If I have to choose between getting like 3 segments of Austin Theory on a show or 3 segments of Riddle, I'm taking Riddle. And some of
yeah.
his stuff with Randy Orton was fun. I assume we're gonna get Randy Orton back soon. I don't know if they're still gonna go through with the Orton Riddle feud that they were teasing a while back before
Mm.
they both had to be removed from the premises of WWE for different reasons. But if that if that return or feud does happen, I'm with it. I don't know about you, pal.
Yeah, no, potentially. I mean, maybe they do Riddle versus, I don't know, Roman in Saudi Arabia or something, and you can have a big moment where, after the match, the bloodlines beating up Riddle. There's like five of them. They're punching Riddle's dead to rights, and then I hear voices, and Randy Orton he comes out in St. Louis. Well, it's not St. Louis.
St. Louis.
It's in Saudi Arabia, but nonetheless, he's on the ground. He's like humping the floor. He RKO's them, and I don't know. But yeah, point being, Riddle's back. So do that what you will. Did your investment, Kevin, in WWE, your excitement levels go up exponentially for the return of Matt Riddle or no?
I wouldn't say exponentially, no. No,
No.
exponentially is a bit strong of a word. But speaking of exponentially, pal, us talk about the AEW. They made the headlines
Yep.
for good news, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's good news.
Yep.
Tony Khan announced his big game-changing announcement on last week's Dynamite was that AEW is going to run a all-in show. So they're using the original name that
Mm.
Cody and the Young Bucks and those guys used to run their indie show way back when Uncle Dave told them they couldn't
Yep.
sell out a 10,000 seat arena. So we're
Yep.
getting all in Wembley Stadium in the UK. I think it's the first show in Wembley Stadium, first major wrestling show in Wembley Stadium since SummerSlam 92, 30 years ago. I
Yeah.
could be wrong, but that's a 90,000 seat arena. And WWF, back in that time in 92, they did about 75,000 people with Bret Hart and
Yep.
British Bulldog in the main event and Warrior and Savage on top. So now AEW is here. They're going in. What do you think about this?
I am fascinated about how many tickets they sell and what the attendance ends up being because this isn't in the United States. Like this is international now. They're in the UK with Wembley Stadium. I saw a big thing. This always pops up with WWE and AEW and these like Twitter feuds and you got WWE stands saying you can't even sell like 30,000 tickets for this. Tony Khan have to give away 50,000 tickets for free. That sort of stuff waits to be seen. My prediction, you'll get a solid like 60 or ish thousand people on the night. That's what I think. How they get there, whether they sell 30,000 tickets and a bunch of which are almost given out, or whether they sell 50,000, which would be an incredible effort, and they give away some tickets. I think I'm looking forward to it, is the basic premise of this. I think it should be good. Personally, I think CM Punk is needed to get that show more interest. If you do CM Punk versus Kenny Omega as your main event, that's that's just the match to do. If your main event is MJF versus Adam Cole, I don't know. Now, maybe Tony Khan has some other plans in mind. We will see. We will find out. But if you're trying to sell out what an 80,000 plus seat stadium, I don't know if some of those AW good matches is going to get it done for 80,000 people. For 30,000, 40,000, yes, definitely. But 80, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think they'll probably at the end it'll probably be like 40, 50,000 if you're squeezing me for a prediction. Unless there's some like outside wild card debut slash return to AEW that we don't see coming, like if The Rock just shows up in the Impact Zone, cutting a promo on Adam Cole. Like who knows what could happen? But no, speaking of just those big returns, do you think there's any truth? Do you buy the rumor that Tony Khan is making a run at Bill Goldberg? I mean, it makes sense if they're trying to sell out a big arena. Bill Goldberg, yeah, he's people want to hate him, but he's a big star and he'll help draw numbers.
I mean, but outside of Hogan and the NWO, Goldberg was the face of WCW for like a year or two. And Tony Khan and AEW's thing is that we're WCW. Basically, they brought Sting in. They've made that many shots at the big boy WWE throughout the last few years. They want to be edgy. They've had Tony Schiavone on commentary and doing big roles on the show. I wouldn't be surprised. And I wouldn't be surprised if they used Goldberg and had him be like the mentor for Wardlow or something. Like, knowing how AEW book these wrestlers, I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if you try and sell out a football stadium. Bill Goldberg will do a good job of that. People will tune in and be interested and buy a ticket to see Goldberg. That's what will happen. So I don't know.
And Goldberg did play football, so long-term storytelling. He was an NFL player before he got into AEW, so yeah.
Magical long-term
storytelling. That'd be the most American thing to do. That just AEW shows up, they're like, yeah, we got this American football player here. Cheer him in this football stadium. So yeah. All right, pal. You want to talk about Roman Reigns' legacy now?
Yes,
or his WrestleMania legacy. Sorry.
Yes, yeah, because I mean we've done a discussion on Reigns' legacy, and we will do our eventually there's the Roman Reigns full reign review. There's a lot of Roman stuff, but Kevin, we're on the heels of WrestleMania.
Yes.
And for months we were planning to do this anyway.
Yes.
Because Roman Reigns has quite the up and down WrestleMania kind of legacy. And why are we doing this essentially? For months on Elite Heat, we've talked about how WrestleMania, for the big stars especially, is how their legacies get defined. We talk about a guy like Kurt Angle, someone who only appeared at, 6, 7 WrestleManias, but he was involved in about 4 or 5 classics, these all-time great matches that really elevates his legacy exponentially. And then we look at someone like a Randy Orton, for instance, and for all the greatness and the longevity he has, Kevin, over 20 years, there really aren't many WrestleMania matches with Randy Orton. You look at it and go, that match was unbelievable. That was an awesome match. Randy's not that guy.
But he does have one. He does have one, though, with Undertaker. You know? Like, that's the thing. Like, that's even, I don't mean to cut you off, but that's even, like, the thing with Roman. Just to say this off top. Like, does Roman have one? Does he have that one that you look at, like, yeah, that's a legendary match. Compared to that, like, Orton-Undertaker match from 21. I don't think he does. And even, like, I think even people would argue that 22... with Ray and Kurt Angle is on that legendary status, so Orton has 2, arguably.
Now, I would argue, in the fairness of Roman, that WrestleMania 37 triple threat and that WrestleMania 39 main event, ending in the controversy with that aside, I think those matches he has, fair enough. Like, those are 2 objectively great main events. But elsewhere, and while we're making this video, Kevin, just discussing this, he has quite a few duds. He just does. And well, I'll throw to you in a moment. We can kind of dissect it a bit more match by match and WrestleMania by WrestleMania. But for someone who's main evented now, I'll give you the stats one more time. 7 WrestleMania main events. Keep in mind, he's appeared at 10 WrestleManias, I believe. He has 5 WrestleManias closing the show standing tall. This is, Kevin, there's been 39 WrestleManias. 5 of them have ended with Roman Reigns standing tall. 4 of which he's had a championship, 2 of which he's had 2 championships. That's insane. So, Kevin, that's enough of me. Over to you. Let's break this down.
But it's interesting because Hulk Hogan is really the only guy that's comparable from a WrestleMania main event standpoint. Hulk Hogan has main evented 8 WrestleManias, and I would say his resume, in totality, Hulk Hogan probably has the best WrestleMania resume of any wrestler ever. And you look at all his main events. WrestleMania 1, first WrestleMania main event. Not a great match, but it's memorable and it's important and it's significant. WrestleMania 2 with King Kong Bundy was what it was. WrestleMania 3 with Andre the Giant, maybe the most memorable match of all time. WrestleMania 5, Macho Man Randy Savage, great. Top 10 WrestleMania main event of all time, fantastic storyline. WrestleMania 6 with Ultimate Warrior, top 15 WrestleMania main event, great storyline. 7 with Sergeant Slaughter, the infamy. You know, that's the most infamous WrestleMania main event. You got Vincent Kennedy McMahon using a real-life war to build a WrestleMania storyline. So legitimately, I would say this too, for the people who don't know. WWE, they were supposed to run that in a football stadium in LA. It was supposed to be like a 70,000 arena, 70,000 seat arena. WWE could not sell tickets because of the backlash to Vince McMahon using a real-life war. So they moved it to like a hockey arena or a basketball arena or whatever. That held like 12,000 people in LA. And their reasoning for why they had to move from the football stadium to the arena, and this literally was said on the broadcast, was that there was, quote, bomb threats at the football stadium. That you know, the Iraqis were threatening a terrorism attack. So yeah, I digress. Check out my channel. I'm making a video on that soon enough. Get your face. All right, so
that is outrageous.
Isn't it?
Could you imagine if that happened in 2023? Like the main event WrestleMania storyline was, let's say they were doing Gunther versus Roman Reigns. You had Gunther like standing up for Russia or something, and you had like real life death threats being sent to WWE, bombs. Could you imagine the drama, the scandal? Like, oh my god! Like, imagine, Kevin. I remember when a few years ago, Rusev was proudly representing Russia, and they were coming out doing pro Putin promos with Lana. Imagine they did that in 2023 in the main event, and you had WWE's big star Roman Reigns was like promoting that and going to what. That sort of stuff is so ridiculous. That literally happened in WWE in 1991. That was the main storyline in the lead up to WrestleMania 7. Ridiculous. Anyway, I digress, Kevin. Over to you.
There you go. So then you have WrestleMania 8. He main events, Hulk Hogan main events against Psycho Sid.
Nah,
It was what it
yeah,
was.
yeah.
And then he main events WrestleMania 9 and another infamous Hulk Hogan WrestleMania main event. Bret Hart. Was it Bret Hart? No, I don't remember. Yokozuna gets his big win, I believe, over Bret Hart. Yokozuna wins the WWF title. And Hulk Hogan just comes out. It's like, I want a match, brother. I'm Hulk Hogan. I deserve it. Comes out with a black eye after Randy Savage beat him up for sleeping with his wife, allegedly. And then here he is. I want my championship match, brother, because I'm Hulk Hogan and I said so. And he just beats Yokozuna. Everybody's like, what? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, so that was that's Hulk Hogan's WrestleMania main event resume. And then his overall WrestleMania, I think he partook in what, 2 more WrestleManias? So he was in
WrestleMania 18 was one of the most iconic WrestleMania matches ever.
Yeah.
Against The Rock, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And then WrestleMania 19, which, I mean, you'll discuss more on your channel personally.
Yeah.
But WrestleMania 19 against Vince McMahon, which in a match is actually really underrated. It's quite good.
Very good.
As we discussed in our 17 versus 19. And yeah, I believe that was it for Terry Bollea at WrestleMania. Some really good stuff in there. Like, Kevin, and how we're going to do this, I'll make this point real quick. When I look at that, just to break that down, WrestleMania 1 was one of the most important matches in wrestling history. If that fails, WrestleMania may never become a thing. It just may have died out. WrestleMania 3 was one of the most important matches ever. WrestleMania 5 was a big time, great match. WrestleMania 6 was big time and a really important, great match. Then I look at WrestleMania 18 as a top tier match, and WrestleMania 19 was, I mean, that's what they used to sell WrestleMania that year. So that's 6 matches, 6 Hulk Hogan WrestleMania matches that you go important, significant, big time, either a great match or super significant. That's a success. That's a really good WrestleMania resume. And granted, there are some misses there. Sid, a Gulf War being the main thing for the storyline, Bundy in a cage. There's some meh, but there's a lot of hits and a lot of successes in there. So that's how I dissect Hogan. Back to you, pal.
Yeah, he has 2 duds. Really, like the Persian Gulf at 91, and then the main event of WrestleMania 9, just squashing Yokozuna for no reason whatsoever with a black eye. Yeah, nothing really going on there. So back to Roman, but I think it's important to bring up Hogan just because it's like, it's just, that's it. That's all we have to compare him to. Roman has main evented more WrestleManias than Steve Austin. Steve Austin main evented in 98, 99, 2001, and that's it. John Cena main evented 28,
5.
29,
5.
yeah, 21, 22, and 23. That's it. Who you look at? Any other big stars? The Rock. He's main evented what, 2, 3 WrestleManias? 4? Rock main evented 4 WrestleManias.
15,
5.
2017. Should have main evented 18, but he didn't. And then 28.
Should have main evented 19 too.
Should have, yeah. So I mean, all these all-time greats, yeah. Austin, Rock, Cena, they all have around 5-ish, give or take, 3 to 5. That's like your top tier of guys.
What about Taker?
Hogan has his ones we just went over. Reigns now has 7, and 5 of which have ended him standing tall, which is that's crazy when you think about it.
It is. Yeah, Taker has what, 97, 2000. Did he main event with Batista? No, he main event 08 with Edge.
24 with Edge.
2010.
And main evented 26 with Shawn and
with Roman.
It. Oh, Roman.
So he main evented 4: 97, 2008, 2010, and 2017. Yeah, look at that. Roman has already main evented more WrestleManias than like the Mount Rushmore. You know, and Ric Flair never even main evented one. I mean, he had to spend majority of his career in WWE, but
Yeah.
like the only real big WrestleMania he had in his prime, he was on the undercard to Hogan and Sid, pal. So
That's disgraceful. But yeah, like that's the thing with Roman. So now what we're going to do, and the whole point of this today, just want to go through match by match with Roman because he's getting to the stage of his career. He's now, I mean, he debuted on the main roster in 2012. It's now the middle of 2023. It's been 11 years. That's a big body of work. There's plenty of stuff to analyze and digest there. It's he's had runs as a Shield guy, as the big dog, as the tribal chief. There's a lot of different stuff. So what we're going to do, we're going to go match by match with this. We're not going to do a full review of each match. We just kind of talk about, was it a hit? Was it a miss? Was it just bad creative? What was Roman's role? All this sort of stuff. So, yeah.
yeah, let's kick it off. I don't even want to talk about the Shield stuff. Like it's really,
Yeah, no.
there's not really much there. But yeah, just focus on Roman Reigns, his singles matches, and everything. Just Roman Reigns, the character, what he's been involved in. I mean, it starts with WrestleMania 31. He's thrusted right into the main event with the biggest star at the time, Brock Lesnar. And we know what the buildup was. It was not very good. They're playing tug of war over a fake championship belt. So then when you get to the match, I thought the match was pretty good. Like I'd say like the one-on-one portion that we saw was probably like maybe if they had just done Roman and Brock, it would have been like a 4-star match. Let's say just like they didn't want to put the belt on Roman, Brock just beats him. That probably would have been like a 4-star match. But then you add Seth Rollins cashing in, and you add the big Money in the Bank, the heist of the century, Rollins winning the belt. That elevates this match probably to like a 4.25 stars when it's all said and done. But the key point being is that it takes away the shine from Roman. Like Roman ended up being the odd man out in this one, because Brock was the big star. Brock had just ended the streak a year prior. He's WWE champion. He's got Paul Heyman with him. And then Seth Rollins has one of the greatest moments, most memorable moments in WrestleMania history. So Roman's just kind of there. And yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, no, this was, I mean, up until recent years, this was Roman's only real, like, great WrestleMania match.
Yeah.
This was for years. So this was 2015. Up until, literally the end of 2020, this was the only match Roman had to hang his hat on, realistically. And as you say, he was sort of the fall guy who got a bit lost in the shuffle with Rollins and Brock. So even then, it was a bit like, Roman had a really good performance on this night. Brock was doing the Suplex City stuff. It was like a physical, brutal match. And Reigns had his big comeback. It was the crowd was really getting into Roman when he had that big comeback in that match. I remember that specifically. But no one remembers this match for that. They remember the match for the heist of the century. Rollins ending WrestleMania, swinging the championship belt around. Michael Cole screaming. That's what people remember this for. So really, with this, it was a success. It was a really good WrestleMania main event. So tip the cap to Roman Reigns. That's one tick. That's one success already, which is good. This is his first singles WrestleMania match. The Shield stuff is whatever. They're just young stable goes over on the undercard. Doesn't really matter. This is a tick for Roman Reigns, even though he's not like the main. As weird as this sounds, since he's the challenger in the main event for the world title, he's not really the main talking point of this. It's Seth Rollins. It's Brock Lesnar. Reigns was just the other guy involved, but it was still a great performance objectively.
Absolutely. Then we had WrestleMania 32 in 2016.
Yikes.
Roman Reigns versus Triple H. Originally, I believe the plan was for this to be Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. But then Seth Rollins blows his knee out in a house show trying to tackle Glenn Jacobs. So we had Roman versus Triple H. The storyline for this was absolutely horrendous. One of the most infamous and most awful storylines that I can remember in all my years of watching pro wrestling. Let's call a spade with this one. This featured the big dog Roman Reigns, literally a gentleman who tested positive for steroids. We're literally being told that this roided up Samoan who's bigger than everybody else in the arena is an underdog, is being held down by the company after he just main evented WrestleMania, his first singles WrestleMania in the main event. He beats Randy Orton at SummerSlam in 2014. He's given every accolade under the book. We still got Stephanie McMahon out there saying that he's not good enough. Basically, a really bad recreation of the Yes Movement stuff that we saw with Daniel Bryan. It was literally like on par from what we saw with Stephanie, where she's screaming at Daniel Bryan, "You're not good enough. I'm taller than you." Like, it was similar ilk. And then we had the one versus all Royal Rumble where Roman Reigns goes into it as WWE champion, and then Triple H just comes out at number 30 and beats him, and everybody's cheering Triple H. We got like a 54-year-old Triple H as WWE champion. Yeah. And this was supposed to be like this big moment where everybody's like, "Oh, Roman's gonna beat the old guy for the Attitude Era, the big established star. Roman's gonna be cemented as this main event player." And it was so flat. This was what, like, this show was what, like an 8-hour show? This was like the first 8-hour WrestleMania, 7.5-hour WrestleMania, including the pre-show. And by the time like this match went on, it was like 11:30 Eastern at night.
Yep.
Nope, like people wanted to go home. Everybody knew Roman was gonna win. Yeah, this is easily a bottom 5. This is so bad that it's a bottom 5 WrestleMania main event. Just call it what it is. Bottom 5. This is a shoe-in. This is one that's guaranteed gonna be on my list every time when I'm thinking bottom 5 worst WrestleManias.
You said that so well. No, this was I remember watching this vividly. I was still really in my fandom at this stage. I'm really enjoying wrestling. I'm still, fairly young at this point. And I'm watching it, Kevin. This was like a 6-month storyline as well, the Reigns one versus all thing against Triple H. It went on and on. As soon as Seth Rollins blew out his knee at the house show, trying to like sunset powerbomb Glenn Jacobs through a table, as soon as that happened, it literally became Roman Reigns feuding with Sheamus when he had the Sheamus 515 with the septum piercing and the mohawk and the League of Nations. That went on for like 3 months. Roman Reigns beating up Rusev, Alberto Del Rio, Wade Barrett, and Sheamus by himself every week. You got this powerful, jacked, roided up Samoan beating up 4 heavyweights every week. And we're being told by Stephanie McMahon and Vince McMahon and Triple H that this guy is like Daniel Bryan. It didn't make any sense. And you get to WrestleMania, Kevin. I love that you brought this up. It's 11 o'clock Eastern. And you think, okay, get the main event over with. Let's do the main event. And The Rock comes out with a flamethrower and the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And everyone's watching it. We go, what the hell is this? Where's Roman? As Roman, as Roman just like had a nervous breakdown backstage. They're like, Dwayne, get out there. Like what's going on? And then they do the most boring, predictable 28-minute match in WrestleMania history. Everyone knew what was going to happen, but they still have Stephanie McMahon, take a bump. They had this long-winded match. And Kevin, I know I joked about this. I've made this comment when we've discussed the WrestleMania 22 main event with Cena and Triple H. I've said that, what was the difference between the 22 main event and the 32 main event? It's obvious the ending they were going to go for.
There's a ton of differences.
I redact that statement in entirety after this discussion. I forgot how bad this 32 thing was. It was a 6-month storyline, predictable, Samoan.
Cena and Triple H was an actual good storyline.
I know. This was just Stephanie McMahon screaming, slapping Roman every week on Raw. Vince McMahon got involved in December. And he was the rev. Remember when Vince McMahon got arrested in this storyline?
No, I do not. Oh my god.
This happened the last Raw of December 2015. Vince McMahon was arrested, and there were Vince McMahon mugshots circulating. Don't you remember this?
No.
Oh my god.
No.
If you remember Vince McMahon having his mugshots taken on Raw and WWE crossing over to the local police station and pictures of Vince, if you remember that, you're a real one.
I don't remember that at all. Wow. That's long-term storytelling, pal.
Video.
Yeah, I didn't gotta look into that.
The night Vince McMahon got arrested.
That's long-term storytelling. That when art emulates real life, pal.
Kevin, the Vince McMahon mugshots, maybe I'm gonna put that on my Twitter.
Vince McMahon predicted his own downfall, pal.
But that said, Roman Reigns in this, it was poorly booked. It was super predictable. It was a dud main event. The crowd was booing or they left. I know a lot of people from this night, I'll remember this, who just walked out when the main event started. They're like, I don't care. We all know what's going to happen. I'm just going to leave. It's 11:30 and the match is starting. I know what's going to happen. Bye. Bounce. So, yeah.
There you go. And then now we go to WrestleMania 33. So this is in similar fashion. This was an 8-hour show. I was there for all 8 hours. The show started at 5 p.m. Eastern time. I'm sitting in my seat in Orlando, Florida in the baking hot sun. And legitimately, the show ended after midnight. Like, it's like 11:35 when Roman Reigns is making his entrance. like almost midnight. Like the show ended like way after midnight. It's over 8 hours long. I like mainly the whole reason why I stayed was because I thought Brock and Goldberg was gonna main event. Like so I stayed like throughout the whole show to see that. You know, if I had known going in that Roman and Undertaker was gonna main event, I probably would have left like after Brock versus Goldberg, and I think that was the co-main event. But nevertheless, regardless, it's another situation. But except the people in Dallas, they're in an indoor stadium. Us in Orlando, we're sitting outside in the Florida hot sun for hours upon hours, and like, why did this main event? Like, why was Roman Reigns and Undertaker in the main event? Like, I know Undertaker Mark Calloway was supposed to retire. It was supposed to be a retirement match. I presume that's why they main evented. But God, this was an absolute dud. This is another one that's in the conversation for a bottom 5 worst WrestleMania main event. This was a washed up Undertaker, completely shot, bad hip. This is Roman Reigns trying his best to get a good match out of Undertaker. This is really Roman before he became the ring general that we know him to be now. You know, Roman was okay in the ring, making strides. He wasn't bad or anything, but he wasn't. He was no Shawn Michaels or Kurt Angle in the ring, or even like a John Cena or Triple H in the ring. You know, he's on that level now. But then at this point, it was just so bad. Like watching it live, it was sad. I was watching this like, I feel bad. Like I just feel bad for the Undertaker, bro. Like you know what they say. You either stay around long enough to become the villain, or you leave when you're on top. And Undertaker had just become a villain at that point. Nobody wanted to see him wrestle. It was like a washed up, just battered down old man trying to stay relevant. And then you had Roman Reigns, who was put in this position, really like, I don't even know what position he's in, because like Brock had already ended the streak, so beating the Undertaker didn't really have the same effect. Like just because it was Roman, people hated it so much. Like I remember people booing and screaming and cursing at the top of their lungs, like in my section, just being so angry that Roman beat Undertaker. Like, oh, this guy, like, he doesn't need all these accolades. He's WWE champion. He just got suspended for PEDs, like, 6-7 months prior to this. It was in the summer of 2022, or summer of 2016, sorry. He gets suspended for legitimately having drugs in his system. He's cheating, bro. So on top of that, now he's being forced down our throats in the main event again. God, all right, so, what, we're...
Okay, sorry, just
I'm
on that.
gonna let you go. Let me say this real quick. We're 3 matches in, and 1 was good, solid. You know, B- match, and then the next 2 that we've spoken about, terrible, F list stuff, pal. Just the absolute worst of WrestleMania main events.
Yeah, I just want to address with this, like, 'cause I know the counterpoint when we discuss this sort of stuff. Well, that's not Roman's fault, and yes, I know it's not Roman's fault. He didn't book the match versus Undertaker. I don't assume he didn't make Mark Calloway have like a destroyed hip who couldn't like move sideways. That's not Roman Reigns' fault. But Roman Reigns was the guy who was pushed in this situation. He was the one who main evented WrestleMania, Kevin. The fact of the matter is, when you're sitting there at midnight in the baking hot sun, pal, that is still hot even though it's gone down hours ago. When you're sitting there watching this show 7 hours in, Roman Reigns is the act who's closing this show. This is Roman Reigns. And I know he didn't book it, and I understand that, but this is still objectively Roman Reigns. It's the same guy. So his legacy in this case, great match at 31, 32, total dud, 33, hard to watch match. Kevin, have you seen the videos? You watched the Last Ride documentary of The Undertaker, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You've seen the WrestleMania 33 like show day and like that weekend. Like,
Yeah,
they have
Undertaker can't even walk.
He's got that like hip bandage thing, it's like on his hip and it's strapped. He's like strapping around and he's like hobbling. And you're like, this guy's going to main event WrestleMania in 12 hours?
Sad.
Are you kidding me? Like, no. And then the match was, as you'd expect from those visuals, it was just hard to watch. And that closed WrestleMania when you could have had either Goldberg versus Brock closed. You could have had, I mean, that was the year SmackDown was at its peak according to people. We could have had a SmackDown sort of match close, but instead they closed with that. So, yeah, that's another not great kind of stain on Reigns' legacy, I view. I view that match as that's not one you want to go back and watch. It's hard to watch that match. So
yeah, and the question is like, why did this main event? And I get it, like if the Undertaker did all the stuff where he left his hat and his gloves and his jacket in the ring, and it presumably he was gonna retire, he kissed his wife, but then he comes back like a year later, wrestles John Cena. Then he kept wrestling after that, wrestling to a tag matches with Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre, and wrestling AJ Styles and choke slamming or dropping Bill Goldberg on his head. So like my point being is this match would be perceived differently if Undertaker had actually retired.
Right.
If Undertaker retires and this was his final match, the narrative would be okay. Roman Reigns put the Undertaker down. He put this battered, beaten old man out of his misery. WWE built a new star, but then Undertaker erased everything that he did for Roman Reigns by coming back.
And
And this
Kevin,
ended up doing nothing for him.
and then we can move to, in my opinion, Kevin, I wasn't watching WWE explicitly at this time in 2018 for WrestleMania 34. But this Brock match, I've gone back and watched every segment from the build. I've watched this match and everything after it, and I've consumed many fan videos of the backlash and the reception. Oh my god, this WrestleMania 34 match, this main evented against Brock Lesnar, Reigns Brock, a Universal Championship main event. Obvious decision. Reigns wins the belt, as unpopular as that decision was at the time, because this was about 3 years into this Reigns push that not many people were vibing with. They have Brock win. The match goes about what you might have it there 12, 14 minutes. It was an okay match. That's being generous. There were parts of it which were just bad. Like the part where Brock's just like, enough of this, and he's just shoot elbow striking Joanna Y. And Roman's like, he's like bleeding, he's collapsed, blood everywhere. And Brock just wins. And it's like, what is this? Brock storms backstage, Kevin, infamous video, takes the Universal Championship, chucks it at Vince's head, storms off. Paul Heyman comes running after Brock. Vince McMahon screams, asshole. Like,
Yeah, it
Kevin,
was a 15-minute and 55-second match. Did we ever find out why Brock Lesnar threw the belt at Vince McMahon?
I think he wanted, from what I've read, he wanted to take time off after WrestleMania. So he wanted to drop the belt, and Vince made him win because they wanted to do this at SummerSlam and drag this out for 5 more months. And Brock was pissed off by that. He's like, just let me effing take time off and sit on my ranch. Like, I don't
Yeah,
want to, I've held this title for a year. Can I just, get this guy that his damn title already?
yeah,
So
yeah.
Brock was
That's the thing.
frustrated.
Yeah,
And
that's the thing.
he's annoyed. He was annoyed because he knew the match was bad. Like, he knew the crowd was booing the whole time. The crowd wasn't into it. The bouncing and throwing beach ball around from memory. It was just awkward. It wasn't very good. Everyone knew it wasn't very good. Brock was like, he tosses the belt at Vince. That's how Roman's match made Brock toss a championship belt at Vince's head.
Is this another contender for a bottom 5 worst WrestleMania of all time? Or is this a
Main event,
certified?
yes.
Is this a certified edition in the worst 5 WrestleMania main events?
I honestly feel like now that we do this, so we've just listed 3 Roman matches that are contenders objectively for a bottom 5 main event all time. Throw the Miz versus Cena in there, and throw in,
Hogan
I
versus
mean, whatever you want to
Yokozuna.
put in.
Hogan, Yokozuna, or Bam Bam Bigelow and Lawrence Taylor.
At least that Lawrence Taylor. I've watched that Bam Bam Lawrence Taylor. That match actually fun because it's like a celebrity NFL player, so it's a bit of entertainment. These other matches are just net negatives to the wrestling business. So yeah, this 34 main event, Kevin. What were your thoughts? Were you watching avidly at the time? What were you like? What's your opinions on this 34 main event?
I wouldn't say I was watching avidly. I was watching casually. I was still like, yeah, keeping a pulse on what's going on. Watching SmackDown every once in a while. Watching Raw when I can. My fandom really started to fizzle out, like in the summer of like 2017. It was just not a lot going on. So by the time like this came around, I don't really remember much about the build. Shed some light on the build for this match between Brock and Roman.
Do I have to? Basically, they did a 7-man elimination chamber match at the elimination chamber. Basically, Nakamura won the Rumble and
Right,
challenged AJ Styles in this
right,
great dream match WWE. So that was on SmackDown.
yep.
On Raw, Brock's got the championship. He's showing up every so often. They go, we need a contender for Brock. So they do a 7-man elimination chamber match. You had Braun Strowman eliminate like 5 guys. Braun Strowman was the guy that was still trying to make that big, next star. Then they were just like, nah, have Roman win. So Roman just beats him. So we get Roman Brock set up for WrestleMania. And then they do the build from Elimination Chamber to WrestleMania. And it was literally about every week Paul Heyman explaining the storyline, explaining that Brock's a beast and that Roman's a big dog, but he's going to be a little dog when he steps in the ring with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. And then Brock just beat up Roman a few times. That was literally the build. There was no tug of war, thankfully. But it was just Brock laying out Roman like 3 different times.
And then
That was the
Brock
build.
still won after laying him out.
I know. Roman looked useless in this build. Brock was clearly more dominant. You would have thought, oh, Roman's going to overcome at WrestleMania and have his moment that they're clearly going to do. no, Brock just won, and then Brock threw the belt at Vince McMahon's head.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the storyline, even if Roman had won and overcome the adversity, it would have been hated regardless. So it's not like with Roman versus Cody, which we're going to talk about, where it'd be a little different perception based on potential results. There was no way to save this from being a bottom five worst WrestleMania main event contender. It was going to be bad. Regardless, Roman triumphs and wins. People are like, boo, boo. We don't want to see Roman triumph. Boo, he sucks. He doesn't deserve to be triumphant. He's a big steroided up Samoan. And then he loses. Everybody's like, what is this? It's stupid. It sucks. So can't win either way, and rightfully so.
Kevin, this is why when you have just the moment to do something, you pull the trigger at WrestleMania. We saw what happened after this, Kevin. They go to Saudi Arabia and do a rematch a month later
I
in
remember
a
that.
cage. Both of them fall out at the same time. Then they're like, oh, well, Brock just wins. And you're like, what? So Roman got that match for no reason. He got that match because he's Roman. I remember JD from NY. This was his apex, in my opinion, screaming about Roman every week. Anyway, that happens a month later, Kevin. Then 3 months later at SummerSlam, Reigns wins in like 5 minutes. They cut the pay-per-view feed like immediately so they can't show the booing. And it's like, Kevin, in 2023, just have this is
So
why you just
bad.
have Cody win, have his moment.
We're
This
gonna
is the
talk about
garbage
that.
that happens after you make a wrong decision. Anyway,
like I said, I don't think Roman winning is the right decision either. I wouldn't say that. I think they're both bad, but it's a little different. But yeah, then we have WrestleMania 35, Roman versus Drew. So this is Roman making his big triumphant return after being diagnosed, revealing that he was diagnosed with leukemia. He had cancer, and it was really sad, and everybody was like really behind Roman when he left, and it was really I guess it was pretty cool to see like majority of the community and just wrestling fans and people in general supporting Roman. There were a few scumbags that we're not going to give attention to that were attention seeking, that would say otherwise. But yeah, this was a big like universally just heartwarming match, I guess, and return for Roman. The match itself was what it was. It was Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre in the mid card. This was Drew McIntyre on his ascent to becoming the main event player that we know him to be now, and the big star that he is now. This is Roman Reigns just kind of shaking off the ring rust, getting back into shape. Not really a lot here, just a good middle of the card match. And honestly, some of these matches would be saved by not being in the main event. When you put the pressure of like a main event match on Roman Reigns and an aging Undertaker, kind of hinders the results. If Roman Reigns versus Undertaker was like 3 or 4 matches into the show, it wouldn't be nearly regarded as bad as it is, But that's just my opinion.
That's a great point. That is a great point, I must say. When you close, it puts exponentially more pressure on for it to deliver. It can be a good match, and some would argue, I don't know, Reigns versus Triple H wasn't even that bad. It was a good match, but the fact that it's main eventing and closing like a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hour show, it's got to deliver then. And these Reigns matches we've listed so far, outside of this WrestleMania 31 main event, 32, 33, 34, none of them delivered at all. And 35, it was just a nice, cool seeing Roman back from the leukemia, cool seeing he's in remission, he's doing well. He beat cancer's ass, and then he's now punching Drew McIntyre and winning that match. It was a good middle of the card match on a 9-hour WrestleMania. So yeah, to me that one's like a solid match, objectively solid. It's not a dud or anything like these ones we've just listed. There's not some great WrestleMania 31 main event. It's sort of in the middle.
Yeah, it's like a 2.5-star match, 5 out of 10. Just average, middle of the pack, average, everyday, simple wrestling match. Yeah, then we had the WrestleMania 36 match that never took place. It's supposed to be Roman versus Goldberg. Ended up being Braun Strowman versus Goldberg. Was what it was. And then WrestleMania 37.
So Ken, before we get to 37 and we discuss this, you had to experience this at the time, but obviously this is March 2020. The cough is what I'll call it, takes off. It explodes, okay? You like they're building this match for Reigns versus Goldberg. You've got them in an empty arena, literally doing promos, and Michael Cole is like, Mr. Goldberg, what are your thoughts on Mr. Reigns? And Goldberg just screams in Roman's face. This match got announced because Bill Goldberg said, I'm next, Roman. And it's like, okay. So, yeah, Kevin, the biggest moment in the WrestleMania 36 build was Reigns announcing on an Instagram video that he's withdrawing from WrestleMania. That was the biggest part of the WrestleMania 36 build. Reigns on IG going, I'm doing it for my family. I'm pulling out of WrestleMania. That was the biggest part of WrestleMania 36's build. Then they taped the show and they had Braun Strowman replace him. So yeah, nothing to comment on there. Good on Reigns for skipping out on this WrestleMania. And yeah, we move, Kevin.
Yep, for the sake of time, we're gonna go to 37. So this
Yep.
was Roman Reigns as a tribal chief. This was Roman Reigns about 6 months into his now near 1,000-day reign that is still going on today. So this was another WrestleMania main event that I was in the house for. Thankfully, I was in the house for this one. I'm so glad I got to see Edge wrestle live on his big comeback tour. I'll always cherish that. Yeah, so we had Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan. The match ended up being good. Like for me, I'd give it like a 3.5 stars. Like it's nothing special for me. I'm just a fan of the big ticket one-on-one matches. And Roman Reigns versus Edge, that's a big ticket match. We did not need Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan. We did not need Daniel Bryan being inserted in this. We've all yelled about it. We've all ranted about it. We're over it now, but I just wanted to see that one-on-one. And I don't know why the decision was made to put Bryan in there. Maybe WWE looked at Roman Reigns past WrestleMania main events and was like, maybe we shouldn't have this guy in a one-on-one match. Maybe they were like, oh, Edge, even though he just wrestled over an hour at the Royal Rumble, maybe he can't do a 20-minute WrestleMania main event. Like, the logic there doesn't make any sense. I know there was some intrigue just because people didn't want to see Daniel Bryan win, so a lot of people were like invested in that from an emotional standpoint. But does that make a match good? You know, because you don't want to see a 5'8" lumberjack who's married to one of the Bella twins win a world title. You know, I don't know if that makes the match good. I still, yeah, I'm gonna say 3.5 stars. Solid, above average WrestleMania main event, but nothing on the level of any other, like any of the great WrestleMania main events that we've seen.
Okay. I enjoyed the match a bit more than you did. I thought it was in the modern era, one of the great WrestleMania main events, in fairness.
I mean,
And
look at
as we
what
were
we're
discussing,
comparing it to, though.
that's what I was going to say. In fairness, we're not comparing this to five-star classics year after year. It's been compared to Reigns and Brock at 34 type thing.
Yeah,
No, this is really good. I remember I was, as you're alluding to, I was heavily on the emotional bandwagon of this. I was infuriated in storyline, especially why they added Daniel Bryan to this match. Because there were rumors he was like a part of the SmackDown writing team around this time, and he was having input in creative. I'm like, what? So he added himself to the WrestleMania main event? Like, what is this? He was doing nothing for a year and a half, and now he's main event. Anyway, we'll park that. We'll discuss that some other time. The point being here with Roman Reigns, this was his best WrestleMania main event, in my opinion. This was the WrestleMania main event that you were left after it thinking, yeah, that was a really good match. That was Roman had his moment at the end. He's standing tall with the Universal title. He stacks and pins two men, uh, two
he
Hall of
smashed
Famers.
him
Like
too,
it was,
pal.
I don't know,
He smashed him, pal.
smashed him, pal, stacked him, pinned him. That on a t-shirt looks so sus. Anyway, as a WrestleMania main event, it was Roman Reigns' best one, in my opinion. I thought this was, like you said, 3.5. I thought this was like 4.5, closer to 5. So I thought this was excellent. Really well done. So, yeah, this is a big feather in his cap. This is a really well done WrestleMania main event. And yeah, there you go.
I don't like multi-man WrestleMania matches. Like it
Yeah.
loses like a half a star immediately. It's already negative half a star. But you have
But you said Randy Orton, Ray, and Triple H is legendary. Or Kurt
no.
Angle's
I
legendary.
said it could be argued as a legendary match.
But you don't like multi-man matches, pal. What's happening?
Huh?
I thought you said you didn't like multi-man
I
matches.
didn't say it was legendary. I said it could be argued.
That's a multi-man match, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But what's your point? What's your point, pal?
But carry on. Carry on.
All right, so yeah, then we get to WrestleMania 38. God. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, Part 3. Another one that's in contention for bottom 5 worst WrestleMania main events of all time. So to recap, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Roman Reigns WrestleMania main events that are in contention for a bottom 5 worst WrestleMania main event of all time. Whew, not looking good for your boy's legacy. So yeah, I'd love to hear you go on this one. I don't have the energy, as you can tell. I don't have the energy to talk about this one.
This and how they built it, this WrestleMania main event at WrestleMania 38, made me stop watching and stop uploading videos.
Same, me too.
Kevin, the way they built this was quite literally Reigns and Brock is main eventing and nothing else, no one else matters on this show.
Yeah.
Not Drew McIntyre, who was like the other guy who was close to that echelon of main eventers, And everyone below Drew, none of them matter. Reigns matters, Brock matters. And that's fine if you want to do that. But we'd seen the match 5 times already. So it wasn't even a fresh matchup that you were excited to see. It was like, well, we know what this match is. We've seen their best version of 31, as we discussed. And now we're literally getting this again. And they've Brock win the Rumble in one of the worst Rumble matches ever.
Oh
Then at
man.
the Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia, Brock just F5s everyone and wins in like 15 minutes. It was one of the worst Elimination Chamber matches in the history of that structure. So you're coming into WrestleMania cold. The only good things are Roman Reigns cutting like a 1 or 2 promos where he's like yelling about how this is my legacy. I'm acknowledge me WrestleMania, that sort of thing. That was it. The match wasn't very good. It was a fine, like on its own, it's a fine match. As the WrestleMania main event, bad match. And Reigns pops his shoulder out in a Kimura. He's ends the show. He's like holding one title. He can't really raise the other. And then he manages to get both titles up, and the show just ends. This was a complete dud. It's made me stop uploading for months and months and months. Finally, the JTE channel, a year and a bit after this, is back. But my God, Kevin, this just so bad.
Brutal.
Honestly,
Brutal. Yeah.
terrible.
All right. So then now we have the most recent rendition of the Roman Reigns WrestleMania main events. We're about 10 days removed from this one. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes from WrestleMania 39. Now I think this is Roman Reigns' best WrestleMania main event. I think this match was a 4.5-star match. I think it's one that I could go back and rewatch fondly. I mean, this was good. Like from an in-ring standpoint, say what you want about the finish and anything about that. From an in-ring standpoint, this was the best WrestleMania main event that we've seen in a while. You know, it was I think significantly better than that match at 37 and the match at 31. This had all the elements. You had a hot baby face, you had a hot heel. And credit to Roman for keeping himself hot for 3 years, doing the same character, same gimmick. That's tough to do. So props to him. And now here we are. The match just took place. Was what it was. The finish was what it was. But my question for you is that did the finish? I already know how you feel, so we're not gonna get into that. Did the finish take away how good the match was in your mind?
Yes. Yeah, and I thought about this because I remember watching this match, like because it went for 34 minutes. This match got a lot of time, and I'm watching it on the night live, thinking this is like a really good WrestleMania main event. Like this is Reigns' best WrestleMania main event. That's what I was feeling watching it, and then the ending felt like the balloon popped, and it was just like, ah, it was like kind of like that for a
Mhm.
lot of people, and people who've been in the stadium who were there explain this. A lot of fans watching it. We're not going to really go into that, but the point being, yeah, Reigns is best. And Kevin, I love how you allude to that there. This was the best bell to bell WrestleMania main event since WrestleMania 24 with
Wow.
Edge and The Undertaker. I was thinking about this because,
Better than Taker and Shawn from 26.
oh, I forgot Taker and Shawn. I was thinking, but yeah,
That was better than Undertaker Edge, I think.
yeah, no, I forgot that match to be fair. But yeah, like it's the best. That's what 13 years, over a decade,
Yeah.
which I mean, that's a tip to Roman's cap. Granted, there's not much competition as we've discussed, but like, yeah, no, I thought this match was great. They did so much right in this match. Just a bit of blatantly logical booking at the end kind of hurts a bit of like the shine for me and many others on this match. But on its own, from the moment the pre-match video starts with the promo package, entrance is amazing, face off amazing, big time main event feel, great moves, great storytelling, psychology. This had all. This was a great main event. So this was a tip to the cap of Roman again. He didn't need to win, but elsewhere, tip to the cap of Romans. That's Kevin. That's three.
I
So
have
that's
two
three
follow
main
up
events.
questions for you
Yeah.
regarding this WrestleMania main event.
hmm
First one: if Roman had just beat Cody clean, would
hmm
that affect the way you feel about this match? In a good way or a negative way or just in general?
That would have been better. Look, if you're gonna have Roman retain, you're better off having it be clean. The fact that this guy is a 6'3" powerhouse Samoan who's part time, he barely wrestles. He shouldn't be needing 5 guys to beat a guy who's a mid card of 15 years.
So the
You shouldn't need
counterpoint to
Jey
that.
Uso, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman, and yourself as the greatest of this era to beat Cody. I get it's his character, but
So
Come
the
on,
counter to
yeah.
that would be like, okay, so Roman beats Cody clean, and then hey, it's the reign of terror, pal. That's it. Cody got built up just to bow down and kiss the ring of the tribal chief. I think it would have hurt Cody's momentum, me personally, if Roman would have beat him clean. I think that having the screwy effect just helps build into the chase of Cody. It gives them a reason to run the match back. You know, Cody can cry about how Solo interfered. Um, so I think,
Right. I mean, Cody should have
I,
just won, to be honest. This discussion, I don't like having this discussion anyway, but
yeah,
personally,
yeah, but we're
I would have
talking,
just, if you're
yeah,
going to have Cody lose, do we need 5 guys involved? I don't know. I take your point. I
yeah,
understand.
we're talking about what actually happened. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so Roman beat him is what it is. That's the fact.
Yeah.
Um, I just think there's a little bit more there with the fact that Roman beat him screwy. I think it makes more sense. Now, yeah, the question is always going to be: should Cody beat him? If Cody beat him, would this be like a 5-star match in your mind?
Yes. 100%. Because then you'd have basically a flawless last 50 minutes of WrestleMania from the pre-match, the entrances to the match itself, to the ending, to the moment at the end and how the show goes off the air.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think we're looking at this going, that was Roman Reigns' Punk versus Cena match. That was Roman Reigns' truly excellent one-on-one match that had an amazing moment at the end. You would have had Cody, like confetti, pyros everywhere. It's this big moment.
Yeah.
Kevin, I think I said this in the video I made on it. Roman Reigns, it would have done way more for his legacy, his WrestleMania legacy, as we discussed in this podcast, if he would have lost. Winning doesn't do that much for him. We know he's fantastic. We know he's the tribal chief. You're trying to make the next future star of the company, Cody. This was the moment. Anyway, what's
So,
your next
so
question?
my
You have
second
more
follow
questions,
up
you said?
question is:
Yes.
did this match save Roman Reigns' WrestleMania legacy? Did it do enough to save it? Because I don't think we could say here with good footing that he has a good WrestleMania resume after he has 4 bottom 5 WrestleMania main event contenders. I don't think we can sit here and say it's good. I don't think we can say it's awful, but it's
Hmm.
I would say it's a pretty bad WrestleMania legacy. If I was rating it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably say his WrestleMania legacy is like a 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you compare it to other icons of the sport. You know, when you just look at guys like Stone Cold, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Taker, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, all those guys have just far superior WrestleMania legacies to him. Like Randy Orton's probably the best comparison, but even Randy Orton has had like one legendary match and one that could be a legendary match. But we'll say one good. We'll say one really good WrestleMania match, similar to his triple threat with Edge and Bryan. Um, but yeah, what do you think? Did this save Roman Reigns' WrestleMania legacy?
I mean, save in the sense of Reigns before this, before WrestleMania 39, when we're looking at 6 WrestleMania main events and 9 WrestleMania matches, and only 2 of them are actually worth watching, and the rest of them are either okay or literal duds, as we've discussed, that's a poor WrestleMania legacy. So this WrestleMania match versus Cody took his legacy for a WrestleMania, the showcase the Immortals, the biggest stage, from, in my opinion, poor to sort of subpar mediocre. You said 4 out of 10. I think it's about fair. Um, and by comparison, I look at a guy like Shawn Michaels. He's like a 9 or a 10 out of 10 at WrestleMania. I look at even Hogan. We went over him earlier. I'd say WrestleMania, yes, there's a dud or two. There's the WrestleMania 9 thing. There's an okay match or two. There's Sid Vicious. I get it. But I'd give Hogan like an 8. The significance of matches, the big time main events, one-on-one matches, memorability, moments. Hogan's like an 8 in that regard. Randy Orton, I'd probably give like a 5, maybe a 5.5, 6 for his WrestleManias. Like Roman, there's a lot of main events and there's not a lot of substance there. So for me, yeah, it elevates it a little bit, Kevin, to answer the question, but it's still not a WrestleMania legacy. I go, damn, that's the guy who WWE's pushed for the last 10 years, giving him all the main events. That was worth it. I don't view it that way.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Well, any last words before we get out of here?
Well, let's do a prediction. Let's do something fun here. When Roman retires, when it's all said and done with Joe Anoa'i, and we've got like Anoa'i children running around continuing the Bloodline storyline in 20 years,
Oh no.
how many main events do you think Roman Reigns would have at WrestleMania? He's got 7 now. Will he get to 10?
No, I think 40 would be his last one. I assume he's gonna hold the belt until 40. We're working on that assumption.
Oh, no.
He'll probably lose it there, whether it's to Rollins or the guy in the third row with popcorn, or who knows who it's gonna be. But I assume he's gonna lose the belt at 40 in the main event, and that'll be his last one. I don't, unless he has like a part-time like showcase dream match with The
Yeah.
Rock when The Rock's like 59.
Oh, please, Lord, no. No, I think he's gonna get to 9 WrestleMania main events. I think he's main eventing 40 in some way, shape, or form, and I think he's doing, like, I don't know, 43 or something where
Yeah,
he's like, he's the part-time attraction wrestler,
right.
and he's facing, I don't know, like, by the time Bron Breakker's getting the Reigns stream, he's being booed out of the building for getting a top face push, and you
Oh
got Roman
no.
Reigns is like, "Acknowledge me. I don't acknowledge you. Some more." And it's like Bron Breakker's like barking. And the main event, like this WrestleMania the Raw before WrestleMania goes off the air. Bron Breakker's like barking at Roman
Oh
Reigns,
no.
and Reigns is like,
Oh,
"I'm always the big dog," and Bron Breakker's like, "Arr!" Like Bron's
oh,
like barking.
don't put that in the air. Well, all right,
That's
pal.
gonna happen.
All right,
Anyway,
pal. Let's get out of here. We'll talk to you all on the
let's end it
next
on
one.
Bron Breakker barking, pal. That's all I have. Reigns' WrestleMania legacy went from poor to subpar after this performance. It's been good, pal.
Yeah, it's been a great one. We'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.